Japan's prepaid payment market moves around $200 billion every single year. That is not a small number. That is one of the largest consumer payment markets in the world, and it has been almost entirely offline and traditional until now. Ripple's biggest partner in Japan just got the green light to put that entire market on the XRP Ledger, and the first live issuer is already running. This is not a pilot. This is not a white paper. This is a regulated, government-approved system, live on the XRP Ledger's public mainnet, backed by one of Japan's most powerful financial institutions. But here is what makes this story really interesting. Almost none of it has shown up in XRP's price. So the real question today is not about the price chart. The real question is this: is Japan quietly becoming one of the most important XRP adoption stories in the world right now? And is the market completely missing it? That is what we are going to break down, clearly, simply, and with the facts. Because this story has a lot of moving parts, and most of the coverage has missed what actually matters for XRP. Quick note before we go further: nothing in this video is financial advice. This is one read of the news and the public record. What you do with it is your decision, your timeline, and a conversation with a professional who knows your situation. This channel gives you the clear read. The rest is yours. Here is the plan. First, who SBI Ripple Asia actually is and why it matters. Then what the platform does and what just went live. Then the size of the market they are targeting. Then what this means for XRP, clearly and honestly, including the part most coverage skips. And finally, what to watch from here. Let's get into it. Start here, because if you don't know who SBI is, the rest of the story doesn't land the way it should. SBI Holdings is one of Japan's largest financial conglomerates. It runs banking, securities, insurance, and asset management across the country. This is not a startup. This is not a speculative crypto firm. SBI is deeply woven into Japan's financial system, and it has been a Ripple partner since 2016, a decade of groundwork. The joint venture between SBI and Ripple is called SBI Ripple Asia. Its job is to bring Ripple's payment technology into Japanese and Asian financial institutions. And over the last few years, it has been doing exactly that, quietly, steadily, and with regulatory approval at every step. That last part matters more than people realize. Japan is one of the strictest regulated financial markets in the world. When a company gets approved to operate there, it means they passed one of the toughest compliance tests anywhere. And SBI Ripple Asia just passed it for something new. Here is the news, explained simply. On March 26, 2026, SBI Ripple Asia officially registered as a third-party prepaid payment instrument issuer under Japan's Payment Services Act. The platform was confirmed complete on April 7th. In plain English, that means the Japanese government has officially recognized and approved SBI Ripple Asia to issue digital payment tokens, and those tokens run on the XRP Ledger. The way it works is straightforward. Businesses can connect to the platform through a simple API, which is just a software connection. They don't have to rebuild their apps or change how their customers interact with them. They plug in, and they can start issuing digital prepaid tokens that live on the XRP Ledger. The first live issuer on the platform is a company called Tobu Top Tours. They are creating tourism payment tokens, digital balances that travelers can load and spend across hotels, transport, and attractions. That is real money moving on the XRP Ledger, backed by a real business approved by the Japanese government. As one observer put it simply, the first regulated prepaid payment token on the XRP Ledger's public mainnet is now live. That is the institutional Japan story the XRP Ledger needed, a real, working example. And Tobu Top Tours is just the first. The platform is built for multiple issuers. This is a door that has just been opened, not a one-time deal. If this kind of real-world XRP adoption story is what you've been waiting to see, comment "adoption" below. I want to see how many of you are watching the actual usage, not just the price. Now let's talk about why the $200 billion number matters. Japan's prepaid payment market, think IC cards, digital gift cards, stored value passes, handles roughly 30 trillion yen in annual volume. At today's exchange rates, that is around $200 billion moving through prepaid instruments every single year. That is the market SBI Ripple Asia just got the legal right to plug into. But it doesn't stop there. Japan is already one of the most advanced blockchain markets in the world. XRP is the third most widely adopted crypto asset in Japan's regulated ecosystem, sitting behind only Bitcoin and Ethereum. Japan's tokenized real-world asset market is already at around $2.8 billion in institutional platforms, with forecasts pointing towards $6 to $7 billion by the end of this year. And then there's the institutional picture. In April, Tokyo hosted XRP Tokyo 2026, Asia's largest conference dedicated exclusively to XRP and the XRP Ledger, with more than 3,000 attendees, senior Ripple leadership, SBI executives, the venture firm A16Z, and representatives from Rakuten Wallet and major Japanese institutions. The agenda was institutional adoption, real-world asset tokenization, and the next layer of XRP's role in Japan's financial system. This is not retail speculation. This is a serious, regulated, institutionally backed deployment happening in one of the world's most important financial markets. Now here is where I need to be honest with you, because this is where a lot of coverage gets it wrong in both directions. The bullish case is real. SBI Ripple Asia running a regulated payment token platform on the XRP Ledger means real on-chain activity. Every token issued, every payment made through that system is a transaction on the XRP Ledger. And as you know, if you've followed XRP closely, every transaction on the ledger burns a small amount of XRP permanently. So more activity means more real usage of the network that XRP powers. Beyond that, this is exactly the kind of institutional, regulated, government-approved use case that XRP needs to build long-term credibility. Not promises, not partnerships on paper, a live system, running now, approved by a serious government regulator. The honest reality check. Right now, this is early. Tobu Top Tours is the first issuer, and the actual on-chain volume is still small. The scale of the platform's impact on XRP depends on how many businesses join, how much payment volume actually flows through it, and how fast the adoption grows. As one analysis put it directly, until those usage numbers land at real scale, Japan's XRP story stays real, but not yet priced in. So the honest position is this: the foundation is being built, the regulatory approval is real, the first live issuer is running. But we are in the early chapters of this story, not the final one. That distinction is what separates clear thinking from hype. So what do you actually watch? 3 things. First, new issuers joining the platform. Tobu Top Tours is one. Watch for announcements of other businesses plugging into SBI Ripple Asia's token system. Each new issuer is a new stream of real on-chain activity. Second, actual transaction volume. This is the number that matters. Watch for any reporting on how much value is actually moving through the XRP ledger from this platform. That is the signal that tells you whether this is building into something real at scale. Third, the broader Japan picture. SBI is also supporting RLUSD in Japan, has launched a blockchain bond program that rewards investors with XRP, and is in talks to strengthen its position in Japan's crypto exchange market. Japan is becoming a full XRP ecosystem story, not just one platform. Watch how those pieces connect. So let's bring it all together. SBI Ripple Asia has received regulatory approval to issue prepaid payment tokens on the XRP Ledger, targeting a market that moves $200 billion every year in Japan alone. The first live issuer is already running. The platform is built to scale, and Japan is already one of XRP's strongest institutional markets, with a regulatory environment that gives it a clear structural advantage. For XRP, this is a real adoption story, not a rumor, not a concept. A live, regulated system running on the XRP ledger today. But it is early. The volume is still small. The price has not reacted yet. And that gap between what is being built and what the market has priced in is the whole story. The people who understand that difference are the ones watching the real signals, not just the daily candle, but the actual usage building underneath it. If this kind of real XRP adoption breakdown is what you want instead of the noise, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the next one. No hype, no panic, just the clear version every single video. And if you want to understand what the data is showing about XRP's price right now, watch the video on screen next. Stay patient, stay rational, and as always, we don't wait for the future, we plan for it.